We had just moved into our large new house in Mississauga, Ontario, in an area called Winston Churchill. It was Halloween night, and my parents, my 4 sisters, my brother, and I were unpacking our stuff in our new bedrooms. We had just finished and were talking to each other about leaving our old schools and friends behind. Then, my mother called us to do chores. I was really tired since it was 11:30 at night, way past the trick-or-treating buzz, and we had to do chores now. It seemed to take forever, but when I was done, I decided to go to my bedroom and get some sleep. I heard what sounded like footsteps in the upstairs hallway. Thinking it was my brother or sister, I got up to shout at them for bothering me while I was sleeping, but there was no one there, as far as I could tell. I rushed down to the basement, where my parents, sister, and brother were considerately working. I asked them all if they had been upstairs, and they replied no. Now I was getting pretty freaked out, but I had to believe it was just my imagination and shrugged it off as if it had never happened. I went back to my bed, which was now freezing cold. I had to put on a sweater. It was just too cold. I woke up in the middle of the night around 12:30 a.m. after everyone had gone to sleep. I heard this loud banging sound that seemed to be coming from my parents' bedroom. I thought it might be my brother or sister getting a drink of water, but I was too scared to go alone. I was wrong. The banging continued, getting louder by the minute. I couldn't get back to sleep, so I decided to check it out. I walked into the hallway, and believe me, there was no one there. As I walked in, the banging seemed to stop. I stared at the door for only a quick moment before deciding to go back to bed. After a couple of minutes, the banging started again. Now I was totally chilled to my very last bone. I tried to sleep again, but I couldn't. Very typical of me, the door to my bedroom creaked open as if someone were pushing it lightly, but it was too dark to see who or what could have done it. "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Who is it? Let me go back to sleep," I whispered. Very light footsteps began to move closer to my bed. I thought it was one of my sisters until I turned onto my side after the footsteps stopped and saw a figure standing next to my bed, a figure at least 7 foot tall. I choked the urge to scream. Nothing came out. I lay there in unimaginable horror as the figure finally said, "Boo." That was when I screamed at the top of my lungs and covered my eyes. The harsh glare of the overhead light snapped me back to reality as my parents burst into my room, the door flung wide. The darkness that had held terror moments before was banished, replaced by the stark, revealing light. My eyes, still wide with fear, darted to the space beside my bed, where the towering figure had stood. It was empty. Utterly, chillingly empty. A wave of disbelief washed over me, but the terror was still raw, the phantom presence still a vivid imprint on my mind. I cried out, a torrent of words tumbling from my lips, describing the chilling thumps, the suffocating cold, and the horrifying apparition that had loomed over me. My voice trembled, each word a desperate plea for validation. My siblings, drawn by the commotion, crowded into the doorway, their faces a mixture of curiosity and skeptical amusement. Their presence, meant to be reassuring, only amplified my sense of isolation. I felt their eyes on me, judging, questioning. "You have to believe me," I pleaded, my voice cracking. "You must have heard it. The banging on your door. It was so loud." I looked at my parents, their faces etched with concern, but their eyes held a hint of doubt. "It was your door. How could you not hear it?" My parents exchanged a weary glance. "There was no knocking," my father said gently. "Not that we know of." Their words were a cold, hard slap. The disbelief in their eyes, the unspoken question hanging in the air, was worse than any phantom. I felt a surge of frustration, a desperate need to make them understand. "But I saw it. I felt it. It was real." They all looked at me, their expressions a mixture of pity and disbelief. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality, like I was being labeled as hysterical, as crazy. But I knew what I had seen. I knew what I had felt. "You can't just imagine something like that," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Something so real. The room, now bathed in the harsh light, felt like a stage, and I was the lone performer, my terror dismissed as mere theatrics. The emptiness beside my bed, the lack of tangible proof, only served to amplify their doubt. But the fear, the chilling presence, the towering figure, it was all too real. It was etched into my memory, a terrifying reminder of the night my new house became a house of fear.